go on. Go on.
I've done a lot of film screenings, right? I've never heard an audience laugh so much. It was great. Thank you. Give yourselves a round of applause, please. None of these folks need introduction, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm excited to introduce chef, restaurateur, and author Susan Feniger. The amazing Liz Lachman, the film's writer and director. And the wonderful Lisa Donmall-Reeve, the producer of LDR Creative LLC. So I kind of just want to jump right in, and congratulations on this film. It's remarkable. It's really fun and so women-led, and it just makes me happy. And to see the joy that everyone who is in it takes in you and you both, and it's just beautiful to see you eat and have fun and like go through all these things. But
that's all I do. Watching Susan Feniger eat is kind of a pastime at our house.
It made me really happy. So, Susan, I do want to ask you, what is it like to be ahead of your time?
To be what?
Ahead of your time.
Oh, am I?
You tell me.
Well,
I think so.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think I just, I spent many years working in French kitchens, which, I never loved. But
sure.
I love the training and stuff. But then I think, my first trip to India was like back in '82. And I fell in love with street food and flavors. And I sort of it was a huge relief to sort of move away from the French kitchen because it just was not my passion. And I found my passion. And so then it just, I started that street food back in, literally like early 80s. So maybe that was ahead.
I think Susan goes with her gut. And that, I mean, when you say ahead of your time, sometimes it's just going with your gut that says, just do this, and if others follow, they do. But that's what I think creates that idea that she's ahead of her time. It may not actually be that.
Well, and that goes for filmmaking and storytelling around food,
I'm
too.
so ahead of my time.
But you go with your gut. And this film took a while. This is a film over many, many years.
This film, I did not want to get born. I'm telling you, this was like the longest gestation period in history. I did not want to, talk about going with your gut, I did not want to make this. I didn't even mean to make it as a film when I shot it. But then after a while, and I'm actually a narrative filmmaker, and I wasn't really getting traction at that point with my narrative stuff. And I thought, well, I've got this shot. I should just make it. Mm-hmm. And then Susan would say something stupid, and I go, I'm not making your film. And then eventually, I made it.
The best partnerships require a little tension, I feel like.
And Lisa was a huge part of that, because when Lisa and I met, I wasn't sure if I had a film.
Yeah.
You tell the rest, Lisa.
I think you thought you did, but you needed encouragement from outside eyes. And me being British, I didn't actually know who Susan was. So just coming in.
What the hell? Yeah, get out now.
I've said it now. I saw the sizzle Liz had created when she approached me back in like the fall of 2021 in the pandemic. And I was like, oh, wow, this is amazing. Susan with Oprah, Susan with all these Queen Latifah. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, let's talk. So I got excited by the footage that I saw. I didn't see all of it. And then we kind of then figured out what else we needed to capture and create. And finding the editor was kind of one of our first jobs.
I had been actually interviewing dance movie editors.
Oh, nice.
And I didn't know that I was doing it. But I kept, and I finally noticed it, and I thought, well, that's interesting. And I realized it's because I felt there was a rhythm that I felt in this movie. And obviously, dance editors know how to create rhythm. And Lisa's last film she made before me was called Uprooted, The Journey of Jazz Dance, which is on Max, by the way. And it's a little freebie there. It's an amazing film. And so when I saw that, and she introduced me to Joan Gill Amarim, which is the editor she used, I was on board. It was like crazy.
When you see that with the music that you all chose and the quotes that you all chose, there is this definite rhythm that really brings it all together. And it's lovely. It's lovely.
Thank you.
Susan, if I can go back to you, you mentioned that it was a relief to like leave that sort of French cooking style. And I do want to talk about that because I think as a woman who's been in this industry for a long time, if you can talk a little bit about the toxic masculinity that is so prevalent, or has been, maybe it's changing, I hope now, is so prevalent in kitchens that holds a lot of folks back.
Yeah, I mean, all of my training, and Mary Sue's too, was in very serious French kitchens. And most of the time, I mean, you know, it's hard for me to tell. I mean, certainly it was a male-dominated world. I mean, when I ended up in the south of France for a year, there was like 20 18-year-old boys in the kitchen.
Right.
And the chefs, and then in pastries there was one girl, and then I was in the hot kitchen. And so, I mean, it was definitely male-dominated. Every kitchen back in the early 70s and was all men. And I think when I was at culinary school, there were 2 women out of 100 in the class. So it's definitely been male-dominated. And obviously, I think everybody knows from everything that happened with Me Too, the issues that happen in kitchens. Certainly not as much now as it was then. But I think for me, it was actually okay because I was an out lesbian.
Yeah.
And so I think I sort of missed some of that energy that happened. Yeah. And you can see many, I mean, you saw the percentage that Mary Sue said of women that go on. Women in culinary school, 52%. Women in control and in management position, like 7%. And I think what happens are women often leave the field and open their own restaurant because they hit a glass ceiling, and so they just decide to do it themselves and be their own boss. So, I mean, it's changing some. I think maybe women are getting smarter and they're not becoming chefs.
No,
I
hope not. Kidding. I hope that's not the case. Did you want to jump in?
No, I always want to jump in. Just ignore me. It's okay.
No,
okay,
I
was
can't
joking.
You.
Don't ignore me.
I can't ignore you. Impossible to do so. I want to talk about sort of putting the film together. And you mentioned that all the footage that was shot at the beginning and then the end of this film. How do you think going through this process, there was not a clear narrative from the beginning? I know Lisa helped you quite a bit, so Lisa, jump in here. How did you sort of piece this all together?
I think that I was asked by someone else to do a paper edit, paper cut. I didn't know what that was, and I struggled against it because this was so verite. And I thought, I don't understand how you can decide. I think people are used to seeing talking heads tell a story.
Yeah.
And that is not the movie I wanted to make. And I knew that from the beginning. We did need talking heads for context, so people could understand, the position Susan took in the LA culinary scene. But I really wanted to have the shot footage just follow her in and just be with her. So I knew that I wanted that ahead of time.
Sure.
I forgot what you asked me.
How did you? So, you did have some kind of outline and paper cut.
That's what I created.
Another previous editor had forced Liz to do that before I came on board.
Misery.
And then Joan, our editor, wanted to kind of just do her own process, look at all the footage, do all her selects, and have that. So we did kind of a mix of, well, this is what Liz previously did, but don't let that color, I didn't want her to have that in the back of her head as she was doing her selects. So it was kind of a mix in the end.
I actually, when she first started looking at the footage, I was so nervous that there was no film. Because there's a lot of footage. That doesn't mean there's a film. So I woke up at 3 a.m., sweating, just sitting straight up going, oh my God. Susan's like, what's wrong? What if there's no film? And Susan would say, don't worry, there's a film. And go back to sleep. And then after we looked at all the footage and Joan said, there is a film. Lisa said, don't worry, there is a film. Then I looked more and I thought, okay, there might be a film here. 3 a.m., zhunk. It's like, oh my God, what if there's a film and it sucks? Susan's like, go back to sleep. Go. Okay. Then we start to see the film come together, and it's shaping, and it's pretty good. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. Then, oh my God, what if there's a film and it's really good, and then I die? And it's the only film I ever get to make.
And this is a window into the
28 years later.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Susan, if I can go back to you, I know Mary Sue a little bit better than I know you, and knowing you both now, I see like how it works, right? Seeing this film a couple times now, what was it like for you to take this step back and really reflect on sort of your relationship, the codependence that you both have on one another, the reliance that you rely on one another very much, and it's this beautiful relationship, but I know it's like a marriage. It's a little bit difficult too at times.
Yeah, I mean, Mary Sue and I met at that restaurant in Chicago, and we have been business partners since 1981, so 41, however many years that is. And, we're very opposite in many ways, It'd be like, I want to do 6 courses, she wants to do 3 courses, and we end up at like 4.5 courses or something like that. And, I want to pay someone more, she wants to pay him less, and, so we end up in the middle. But, I think I have always I think it's maybe because I have a bad memory. I want to do more. More courses, more restaurants, more pay, more.
Sure.
And cheese, I want to do less. I want to do,
Because you don't learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, I do
That's
not.
what
I
it
definitely
is.
don't. I just forget, and then, let's do the next thing.
But I think the film shows that you do learn from your past experience. You've really this film shows a clear evolution, and I think that's kind of amazing. And I wonder what that's like to watch.
Well, I think it did, because I never saw the film till Liz finished it, and we were doing friends and family screening, and
I would not let her near it.
not that that's how she is in the kitchen. She's like got like her mom and aunt, tons of opinion with no experience, but whatever. So I think of course, I adore Mary Sue, and I think we each bring different strengths to the partnership, for sure. But this, I think this was just sort of looking back on what an amazing friendship and partnership that we have, and the strengths. We each bring different strengths, for sure. So, and I think partnerships are amazing when they work, and often they don't, like in a marriage. But, there's something about, when things are great, you don't need the partners. It's when things are hard, it's so amazing to have that partnership.
Somebody there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Lisa, I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit more about like where this film, where the journey of this film is now, and where you see it sort of going.
Yes, of course. So we've been doing film festivals since late September. We have a few more through the spring. We've just engaged with domestic sales agents, so we're now actively seeking distribution domestically, and we're in talk with international sales agents too, because we do have interest there. So we're just hoping to get this film released this year, and then we can create another wonderful
Make
film.
more.
Yeah.
No, I think there are lots of different stories to tell here. Do you want to delve into that a little bit more? Is there something that you couldn't get into that you would have liked to more?
I really hope I never have to make another film about Susan Feniger. So, is that fair to say?
I'll let you
rude.
have it.
I do.
I could see more. I could watch more.
I see her every single day.
She's easy to watch. What's not to love? Right?
Look at her. She's funny, that's for sure. I do want to go back to the focus on women chefs and the Julia Child Award. And you knew Julia very well. Yeah. And what that experience was like, and seeing, your stuff at the Smithsonian, and how incredible that must have been.
That was, so many awards that Mary Sue and I have gotten. When we got the Lifetime Achievement Award, it was like, well, when we got up there, it was like, well, does that mean we got the half Lifetime Achievement Award? But we both love Julia. She was unbelievable. We emceed her 80th birthday party, and we just loved her. She was just fantastic. And I love that she never took herself too seriously, like on Saturday Night Live. And she just was amazing. But I think, I forgot what you asked me too.
No, I mean, I was asking about seeing your sort of artifacts in the Smithsonian and seeing like this achievement. And I think it's an achievement for women, especially with that award at that time.
Yeah, that award, it still has only been given to Mary Sue and I, not another woman. But that was, without a doubt, the most incredible, most moving award. It was very surreal to be in the Smithsonian. I mean, to pass the Batman car.
I was going to say the Batman car. I mean,
And
honest.
And Dorothy's shoes. It was like, oh God, this is incredible.
It's called the Batmobile, honey.
Whatever. But that was really, that was very, very moving. And Julia had already passed, so it was incredible. I just have to say, the one time when we were describing Julia coming in the kitchen, that kitchen was like 10 by 10. The little double-door refrigerator was all we had, and it was right in front of the one bathroom that the customers came in. I was on the floor, like emptying everything out on the floor and just trying to organize. So everything's on the floor in front of the bathroom is when I met Julia. I was like, okay, that's very professional.
It seems kind of appropriate. I kind of love it. I think Julia probably enjoyed that as well. Susan, I want to give you a chance to talk about the dish that you've curated for the event today.
Well, I did none of the work. Jared and Scott did all of it. I gave the recipes, so they're the ones that, get the credit here for sure. But we did what I think we did the Scotch egg, which is, very sort of traditional, but it's basically a soft cooked egg with a pork sausage around it and breaded with a mustard aioli. And we did a Tunisian chicken skewer out of the Street Cookbook, which I love. It's got currants and green olives and roasted peppers and plenty of vinegar. The running joke in our kitchens is, here comes Susan, add salt, add acid. That's the running joke. Yeah, out of the Street Book. And then the third dish is lamb meatballs. Thank you. Lamb meatballs.
My favorite.
Yeah, yummy with a chimichurri and a tomato jam on it. That's out of the book also.
Beautiful book. I like that your photo's on the cover. In your programs, there's a QR code. If you'd like a signed copy of this book and you commit to becoming a Food Tank member before the end of today, or right now, if you commit to becoming a Food Tank member right now, you get a signed copy. Pull out your QR codes. Do it right now. Do it. But it's great, and it's a beautiful book, and I hope all of you can get a copy.
Liz wrote that book also.
I'd like to just point out, see, there's Susan Feniger. And then teeny tiny in the corner, it says Liz Lachman.
Can we give Liz some more love,
Story
please?
of my life.
I feel like Liz needs more love. We have to unfortunately wrap up, but I want to know what's next for each of you. And maybe, Lisa, I'll start with you first, since you're working so hard on this film.
I have a few projects all at different stages. Or actually mainly narrative. There's one documentary that we have a kind of a sizzle because we're trying to raise the money. Everything you're trying to raise the money. So yeah, several things. Just go on my website or follow me.
Help her raise money, please. Susan.
Well, let's see. I think you saw in there the commissary kitchen that we started during COVID. We've just bought a building, and we're working out of another commissary kitchen where we're doing over 3,000 meals a day for those food insecure, which has been incredible for our team. We just opened 33 days ago, 12 hours and like 6 minutes, a restaurant called Alice B in Palm Springs.
Yay!
That's very exciting. It's California with a Mediterranean twist. Alice B, Gertrude Stein. That's the connection there. And then in about 3 more weeks, we're opening up another place in Las Vegas. We have Border Grill at Mandalay Bay and Barbecue Mexicana. We're opening up our first drive-through quick casual barbecue Mexicana. And so
Love it. Amazing.
That's That's all I've got.
Congratulations.
Not very much.
Right now. A little
Slacker.
Liz, what's up for you?
Well, I have 2 narrative projects that I am moving forward on, trying to raise the money and casting. That's where that's at.
Amazing. Can you give a round of applause for these 3 women?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you
a lot.
so much. We're now going to take a short break, but please stick around, get a bite to eat and drink. And we have some great dishes coming out in the next session, so please join HHMI, Tangle Bank Studios, and everyone else to sample Susan's delicious meals from street food.
Yep,
Thank
the
you,
food's
everyone.
coming out right now. I think they're passing around on plates.
Enjoy.
I don't know
Grab
if it's
it.
right now, but
It
soon.
is right now.